Hey fellas, how you doing? It's Johnny Berba. I wanted to make this video. This video is going to be, I'm just giving you guys a bit of warning because for anyone who's, I don't know, this video could be very uncomfortable to listen. However, this video is transformative. What I'm going to be sharing is something that I've never really spoken about on YouTube. I've had these conversations with my clients when I do the 6 weeks program. We have these personal conversations. I've touched on it in my seminars. But I want to talk about social anxiety. I want to talk about how my social anxiety was created, the feelings, how it used to make me feel, some of the stuff that made me feel ashamed, made me feel guilty, made me feel less of a person. I think you guys are really going to resonate with a lot of this because I know that a lot of you, most of you that follow my channel, have got social anxiety, or maybe you're at different stages of managing your social anxiety. Maybe some of you have overcome it. I know that the channel is about meeting women and getting laid and building relationships and becoming attractive, but let's get to the point. The real problem is fear, social fear. So having conversations with so many different men that I work with on my programs and my boot camps, and the email exchanges I get, which is always so nice, so touching, the Skype conversations, so much of the healing work I do and the transformations are all about social anxiety. So I first want to talk about the symptoms of social anxiety. What is social anxiety? What does it look like? What does it feel like? So you guys are probably going to resonate with this. Let's go back 8 years ago when I'm 32 now, so let's just say 21, 22, in my early 20s. People might find this hard to believe because obviously you see me on YouTube, you see the things I'm doing, you see I'm confident, which is fantastic, guys. I'm really proud of myself, and I'm proud of you guys as well for supporting me and supporting me to keep growing, and also for me helping you and you guys changing. So let's go back in time. Let's get uncomfortable. I'm used to this. This is, I enjoy this to some extent, but it is uncomfortable for me sometimes, but it's going to change lives. And I've always said, we can't have success, we can't grow if we don't go in areas that are uncomfortable. So let's talk about it. So for me, my social anxiety was so bad that I remember, well, for a start, I remember I was afraid of people. I didn't trust people, especially men. I didn't trust men. I couldn't get on busy trains, London transport. I mean, I could get on the train, but not without feeling that everyone's judging me. Even, I'll be honest with you guys, I was afraid of eye contact. I was afraid of people's facial expressions. I was afraid of social situations, normal everyday situations. I'm gonna tell you guys, if I was walking past a bus stop and the bus stop was full, even if there was just 2 or 3 people sitting at the bus stop, or looking at the time of when the bus is going to come, I would cross the road sometimes, or if I walked past, I would squirm. I'd get an uncomfortable feeling in my body, and I'd feel that they were judging me. I would just feel like a dirty person. I'd feel like I was walking past, and I could be dressed well, I could have a haircut, but I would feel ashamed. I'd feel ashamed to walk past the bus stop. If I was in a coffee shop and then the person who was serving would say, "Yes sir, what do you want next?" I would feel nervous. I would feel pressure to order a coffee or a drink. If I walked into a busy room, I would feel an atmosphere. Obviously it was coming from my own psychology. I was thinking that the whole room was thinking bad things about me. I felt judged by people. If I was in a conversation with someone new and I was having a chat and was going well, in my mind I'd be thinking they're thinking bad things about me, they're looking at me, they're judging me. They know about me, they can tell that I'm shy, they can tell that I've got anxiety, they can tell that I've been bullied. This is not even touching on women, we'll get to that in a second. I would always be worried about people attacking me socially. This is not even physically. For example, if I was in a conversation with someone and we were talking about football, sports, politics, and someone just disagreed with me slightly, it would set me off, it would set my nerves off, I'd feel my heart beating. The feeling would be that I'm about to have a fight with this person. This person could be not even being rude to me. I was just so sensitive to criticism or disagreement. Any form of disagreement frightened the shit out of me, especially from men. To be honest, even women. I remember in school, in primary school, in secondary school, being so frightened of confident women. I was so frightened of, I was just frightened of people initiating with me. So I was afraid of people just shouting my name across the room. Other really, it's not strange anymore because now I've made the transformation, and I teach people. I understand the psychology and why people feel this way. And I've had a lot of you write to me and say this. A lot of you that I've worked with on the 6 weeks program. If I was walking down the street and there was people walking past me, I'd feel nervous. I'd feel intimidated. I couldn't go to busy streets. I was intimidated to go into more higher end shops, higher end hotels. For example, if I was with my mum or friends and my mum would say, can you just go into that shop and just ask them, do they have this? I would start panicking. I would feel aggressive. I couldn't do it. Any form of socializing, of initiating people would frighten me. If I was at my friend's house and I was in his sitting room and he'd say, oh, come in, my dad wants to say hello and meet you, I'd get nervous. I know that his dad's not going to hurt me. I know that they have good intentions, but I didn't trust myself. I wasn't sure how I'm going to behave. What if I make a mistake? What if I fall over? What if I spill drink in the house? What if I say something stupid? What if I offend them? I was always frightened of offending people. And for years I just used to think, I just feel stupid. But I think most people did this, I did it myself. My way of dealing with it was pretending it wasn't there. So I was always suffering in silence. And of course I got moments where, I had, of course, like anyone, I had good moments where I wouldn't think about it, it would go away, then it would come back. I remember being frightened to go on the phone. I remember being afraid if my mum said, oh, there's a letter here from you, from the job centre or the bank have sent you a letter, you need to call these people. Heart starts beating, my heart starts going fast, nervous, I'm already preparing, they're going to be rude to me on the phone, this woman's going to give me a hassle. When they'd say hello, I was stuttering, I had a stuttering problem. I was always embarrassed that people would see that. You wouldn't notice it on me now because obviously I've addressed that. So just constantly frightened of making mistakes. And as I said before, when I speak to clients and I work with people, so many men have this, and I just want to say to people that you're not on your own. I had all these fears, and these are the things that helped me to go on to do the things I'm doing now. There's just so many situations. I'm fascinated. I'm going to be writing so much articles on this. But there was a reason where all these fears come from. And these things came from, I said it before, because I was abused by my dad. My dad was very strict on me. I was terrified of my own dad. When I was younger, he was very strict on me. Violence used to hit me. He was abusive. There were times when, for no reason or just for something very small, maybe I made a mistake at school, or maybe I got in the way when he was watching TV, he would just start hitting me and I would piss down my leg, I'd wet myself, I'd wheel down my trousers. I was 15, 14, 16. My mum would be, panicking, trying to stop my dad from hitting me. And then when it stopped and he calmed down, he'd say, go up to your room. I'd go to my room, I'd be sitting there, I'd be crying, I'd be feeling guilt, I'd be thinking it's my fault. That I'm the one who's to blame for my dad's actions. I need to apologise to him. I need to apologise because I'm a bad person. I'm a horrible person. I've done bad things. I was confused. And then a few weeks later, he'd be very kind to me, and my emotions would be up and down. So every time I was around my dad, I was never comfortable. I was socially uncomfortable around my dad. It felt like a stranger was in my house. Obviously, when he was nice and when I could get settled around him, then I'd feel safe with him. But then the next day would come and be over again. I'd be thinking he's going to attack me. And every time he would speak to me, I'd just go, yep. I'd always agree with him. I couldn't have an opinion. And it affected my social relationships. I was frightened of making friends. The frustrating thing for me is that people liked me. I think that made it worse. That people were always drawn to me and I pushed people away. I had certain friends, and of course you do it on an unconscious level. You make friends with people that you relate to and you feel comfortable with. I don't think that was a bad thing. So I had some really lovely friends growing up, but I was always ashamed for many years growing up because of the way my dad treated me. And I didn't directly know it was that reason. Of course, it came from other reasons as well. It came from getting bullied at school. My shyness became a hindrance because obviously the school I went to, if you were shy, you got targeted, you got bullied, and you got physically bullied and verbally bullied. Now for me, this is going to sound crazy, I actually got quite used to getting punched because my dad was always aggressive towards me. And when I started to get bullied at school, my dad was he instructed me not to let no one take advantage of me, even though he did it. So when men would start me and think because I was quiet, I was actually quite capable, but it wasn't enjoyable. I was always frightened, so I'd fight back. I'd either really beat them up, I'd get in trouble at school. The teacher would say, I don't know what happened to your son. To my mum and my dad, he just went crazy, but they didn't see the events that led up to that the person was laughing at me. I remember I was in school, I was just studying, I wasn't bothering anyone, and a guy, remember the Pritt sticks, the glue, if you remember Pritt stick, he threw it in my head. It was so painful, but everyone laughed, the embarrassment of him laughing at me, and then I felt stupid because he was laughing, the school was laughing at me, my dad was making fun of me. My dad made a few comments, and I'm sure that he didn't mean for these comments to create such trauma in my life. But I remember when I took my shirt off, I come home from PE and I was very skinny. I'm quite white, slim now. I've put on a lot of weight since then, but I was very skinny when I was a kid. And he said to me, God, you need to put some weight on, you're so skinny. And my mum said, oh, don't say that to me, it's fine. Made me embarrassed of my body, I felt ashamed. When we'd get changed in school, I was embarrassed to take my t-shirt off. I used to not take my t-shirt off, I used to train, I'd be sweating with sweat. And to be honest, I was ashamed of my body. I was embarrassed to take my pants off because I thought my willy was too small. I thought my penis was too small. I thought my body wasn't nice. I was just carrying so much shame. So social anxiety can affect all these areas. That's why it affects people socially. People will have trouble. I think with public speaking, that's just normal. I think that's the biggest human fear. But stuff like busy crowds, getting on tubes, getting on buses, meeting new people, face-to-face meetings, having eye contact with people, having disagreement with someone, even just having a friendly debate. Like when you watch politics, when you see the different parties debating and they'll get heated, but it's all controlled. I couldn't do that. I wasn't allowed to do that, my father, because he'd just be violent. So if we was watching sport and he said, oh, Mike Tyson won this amount of fights, and I said, no, he didn't, he lost the bug of dice. He said, who are you talking to? Who the fuck do you think you are? Do you think I'm a cunt? Who are you talking to? Who the fuck do you think you are? Shut your mouth. Oh my God, the fear, the terror. I just go quiet and go, oh, you're right, so I didn't mean sorry. So someone doing that to you, of course, when you go out into the world and you meet new people, you just are frightened they're going to do that to you. And I was actually, guys, I was frightened of myself because I was very, very physically capable because of the way I was treated. And I didn't want to fight my own dad. One, he would have destroyed me. Number two, the thought in my mind to hit your own dad just didn't feel right for me. My Christian upbringing or my ethics wouldn't allow me to do that. And as a contradiction, my dad was a very good man. He just wasn't nice to me. He treated most other people with respect. He was a hard-working man, so I don't forget the qualities that he had. He was very hard-working. He was very loyal, but he was very violent, and that is the truth. And, that's why I became violent. That's why I became very insecure. Even though people used to say to me, you're very handsome, you're tall, you're really good looking, you're so lovely. People say to my mum, your son Jonathan's so nice. And in my mind I'd be thinking, no, I'm not. I'm a piece of shit. I'm a scumbag. I'm useless. I'm skinny. I'm ugly. I'm not good. That's what was going through my mind. That's what my emotional. That's what spiritually. That's how I felt, because the most closest people to me that were supposed to, I was supposed to love you. I thought I didn't feel loved by my dad. I felt very loved by my mum. Me and my mum had a great relationship, but I was always frightened that my dad might attack my mum, because he used to shout and get angry. My mum was quite timid. She's a very good woman, but sort of old-fashioned. My dad wore the trousers. So my idea of being a man was being violent. So of course, not only was I afraid of being bullied, because I did get bullied, I was frightened that I would become a bully. And I didn't actually realise it till years later, for a couple of years looking back, and I'm obviously very sorry for it. I'm very ashamed and guilty for it. I don't feel guilty and ashamed no more. But I bullied back as well. I became a bully. I never actually bullied someone for no reason, but just the way I'd respond to people, because I didn't want it to happen to me. I'd experienced it at home, and so there's a lot of confusion. There was a lot of confusion, and it set off a bad psychology. So stuff like a bad internal monologue, that was very normal for me. Being nervous was normal. That's why I'm an expert in teaching fear, because I lived with fear all my life. I'm not really afraid of violence anymore. I've seen it. I've seen people battered. I've seen broken noses. I've seen blood. I know it's gory. I've been involved with it. I've battered people myself. I've knocked people out. I've broke people's noses. I've had my face smashed up. I've had my head, a kid at school when I was younger. I'm sorry this video is so graphic, guys. I do apologise, but I want to inspire you and help you. Stay on the video, it's going to get nicer. A kid at school put my head through a window, nearly killed me. My head was split open. My mum had to rush me to hospital. My dad was furious. My dad went down to the school. I was begging my dad, please don't do it. He went in and shouted at the headmaster. And the headmaster got frightened, and I never got bullied again because they just said, Jonathan's dad came down and he went mad. And then the bullying stopped in primary school, but in secondary school. And the problem was I was too afraid to tell my dad I was being bullied, because I knew my dad would go down and he would hurt these people, would confront them. So fear was in my life all the time. And I'll tell you what was more frightening to me. It wasn't as much fear, it was guilt and shame. Guilt and shame hurt me more than the physical abuse from my dad and fighting at school. And when I would beat someone up at school, I'd always get this feeling of, I don't know if it's the right word, adulation. I'd feel like, like a champion. Yes, he's won. Because I'd get respect in school, the bully would stop. But when I'd go home next day, I'd get this horrible feeling of guilt and shame, and I would cry, I'd feel confused. Because I knew deep down it wasn't right what I did, but I knew it wasn't right that I got bullied. And my only defense was to fight back. Because I didn't have the articulation, I didn't have the confidence just to speak to people. I was always quiet, I was always the quiet one. But then with cousins that I was close with my nan, I could express myself. So there was so much hiding, there was so much separate personalities. So this was all a result of really life-changing changes in connecting with yourself. I realised abuse causes guilt, shame, and it causes a lack of self-worth. And of course, a lack of self-worth is you don't feel loved, or you can't trust love. So not only are you afraid of not being loved, you're afraid to love other people because you don't trust people. So it's no coincidence that it makes, of course, when we move on to the subject of women, which is what we're all here to do, get better with women, of course those patterns that you've experienced, they're going to affect your relationships with women, whether you like it or not. Because I get a lot of people as well writing to me, and I want to speak about this. This is not actually that uncomfortable for me to speak about. Again, I do apologise if you get offended by this. This video is not to offend people. It's actually to save people's life. Because I wouldn't want someone to take their own life, because I know there's people that have taken their own life because they've been abused by parents or friends. People get abused sexually, they get abused physically, and I wouldn't want to have the guilt or worry knowing that I didn't do this video and I could have saved someone's life. I could have prevented someone taking their life. And I also want to celebrate my abuse. I want to celebrate what happened to me and how I changed my life. I want to help you guys to do the same, or anyone. Doesn't matter who's watching, woman, man, kid, it just doesn't matter. I just want to help people. And of course, selfishly, I want to help myself as well. In helping you, it helps me. So, where was I? I get a lot of emails from men writing to me saying that they struggle to get an erection with a woman in the bedroom. They get embarrassed. They're petrified. They're ashamed. I'm going to tell you, I suffered the same. And I was. It's kind of weird. I'm so positive speaking about a subject that can be looked upon as so dark, but that's our society for us. Let's move on from that. I was very frightened of sex. I was frightened of sex, guys. So in a sense, you probably relate to this. I've worked with lots of people, and there's quite a few people lately that have finished my 6 weeks program. I won't mention names. I've helped them through this trauma, and now they've overcome it. It's so nice. I remember, well, I've spoken about it before in my seminar. When I was 16, I went into a park with a girl, and she enticed me into sex, and I couldn't do it. And that was my first experience of erectile dysfunction, and it set a lot of fear off. But it really started to happen to me after I met Floyd, and I started to go out in London. I remember taking girls home and just being so frightened. I remember thinking I'm the only man on the whole universe that has got this fear. I remember when it came to sex, I was so scared. Like I said before, I thought the girl was going to think his willy's too small, she's going to laugh at my willy, even though my willy wasn't small. I can't believe I'm speaking about this. My mum sees this video. Nah, she wouldn't mind anyway, I'm half Irish. So I thought my willy was too small, and I was frightened it wouldn't go up. I was frightened I wouldn't perform properly, I wouldn't please the girl. And again, it was just, I'm trying to explain it, if you can make sense of it. It was the uncomfortable feelings of being judged by someone's eyes. Because they say the eyes are the windows to the soul. So when people look at you, and women are very intuitive, and my irrational thinking anyway, despite whether the girl knew it or not, I felt like if she seen me struggling here, it would just, I was transparent. I was transparent to all my guilt and shame that I'd hid for so many years through putting up a barrier, putting up a confident act or being dominant. So I would impress a girl, and I was frightened that she would see me for who I am, and that traced back to what my dad did. And of course, as I said, when my dad said to me, "You're skinny, you need to put on weight," I couldn't go into open showers, I couldn't take my pants down in front of other men. I thought they were going to laugh at my willy, I thought I was going to be judged, I thought my body, I felt disgusting. So all of this kind of, and then of course having days where when you felt good, if you've had a good day at football, then you'd feel okay. So all this confusion. So yeah, guys, I had to work for a lot. I had to do a lot to get here. And the erectile dysfunction, I've realised it comes from shame. So if you've got erectile dysfunction, you can probably trace it back. And I know this is uncomfortable, guys. Trust me, I've been through this. I've lived the story. I'm here to tell you that I've come out and you are safe. There's nothing to worry about, trust me. So if you're having erectile dysfunction, it's probably because you've experienced trauma as a kid. And the only way to overcome it is to go into it. This is very uncomfortable. When I first done this video, I thought I'm gonna do this with flying colours. So I have this conversation with guys all the time. I'm feeling the struggle of this. I'm probably feeling judged, but that's all right. I'm willing to be judged to help others. It will grow me as well. So now you guys are seeing me struggle, but I promise to finish this video. I'm not going to quit and get this video done. It's becoming difficult. I don't know why. It's probably my ego. I don't want to make people's good impression of me change. So the erectile dysfunction comes from shame and abuse. And the only way to overcome this is to face fear, because it is an illusion. Because even when you tell a girl, when you date her, they're not even going to change their opinion about you. Once you see a girl, you're in love. This is not a technique, please don't use it. But most women are going to be drawn to vulnerability, because to be honest, I've realised that there's not a living, walking, breathing person on this earth that doesn't have shame. We just have shame in different ways. We've got different ways we're affected. But my shame and my guilt and my social phobia has connected me to self-love. It connected me to God. To put it into a language that you got, a lad's language, it helped me to shag a lot of attractive women. It helped me to make more money. And it was all most of the cause of my father's abuse. But I've ended all of it. And I've done this for myself, and I've done this for any frightened man who's been abused by their family, but anyone who's abused them, that's made them feel disgusting, dirty, unloved, abandoned. I had a conversation with my dad a few days ago, and it took me 32 years to build the courage and the congruency and the self-love and the forgiveness to have this conversation. So I'm going to do my best to repeat the conversation back, because this is a true conversation I had with my dad, and I spoke to my fear, and God intuitively gave me the strength to do this, and I knew it would make me a better teacher. It would heal you guys. So listen up. For 32 years, all my life, I couldn't be myself around my dad. I was hiding. I was not the person you see on YouTube. I was not the person that I am when I teach people. I was not the person that dates all these attractive women. I was not the person who made mistakes. I was not the person who loved life and expressed himself. So I thought, I'm sick and tired of this. I need to change this karma, as Jeff would say. I need to put this to bed. I've shagged loads of women. I've made enough money. I've helped so many people. I'm so proud of myself. But I need to do this, because if I don't do this, it's selfish towards you guys. There's too many people that write to me and say that they've got abuse of their dad, and I thought I need to put this to rest, because it's still bothering me. I have to be honest. And one of my friends said to me, "It still bothers you, Johnny. You still got an issue with it." And I said, "I haven't," but he was right. He was a good friend of mine, Maurice. He said, "You need to address this." I thought, right. I was on the train. This is the gospel truth. I don't care if no one believes me. I was on Edgware Road Station. I didn't plan to go and speak to my dad, and I got a rush of, I had massive fear come up. I started sweating. I felt nervous. I felt social anxiety and all that. But then I felt this confidence and calmness. I felt again, obviously I am my true self now, but I thought, I'm going to go and speak to him. I'm going to go and tell him how he treated me. I'm going to tell him that I forgive him. I'm going to tell him. So, went to my house, knocked on the door. My mum answered. "Oh, what are you doing here?" I said, "Oh," she was so happy to see me because it's been a while. We spoke on the phone, but I was calm. I brought God to my house. I brought him to see my dad. I brought him with me because I didn't want to lose my temper. I didn't want to hurt my dad. I didn't want to attack him why he's not ready and all that. I didn't want to make him feel bad, but I wanted to tell him the truth. I wanted to tell him how he treated me and how it made me feel. So I walked into the house. This is to help anyone who's had an abusive parent, this could be years, you could be 50 now, and this happened when you were a kid and you've never addressed it. There's so much power and healing in this, especially to forgive the person. I walked in nice and calm. He got up from the couch. He'd obviously had a hard day at work. "Oh, all right, mate, all right, son." I looked him straight in the eye of calmness and forgiveness. I said, "You damaged me, Dad." And I paused. And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You damaged me." I said, "You made me frightened of men. You made me scared. You made me ashamed. You made me embarrassed. You made me afraid of women. You made me afraid of you. I couldn't be myself around you, Dad. All my life, I couldn't be myself. I felt so scared, Dad. I want to let you know that." And I paused to let him speak. He said, you know, I told you I was sorry before, I didn't mean it and all this stuff." And I said, "I just want you to know that I forgive you, but I wanted to tell you it's not right, and it stops today." And then he went on the defensive. It's very common in psychology. People rationalize it. "Oh, you're carrying a burden. You're blaming me," or "Oh, is this what you've been doing?" or "This is what your counsellor said to you." I stayed calm. Honestly, guys, I felt no fear. You've got to remember, this is a man that, it's not just personal with my dad, it's what he represented. He represented my biggest terror, my shame, my guilt. Shagging all those women on a deep, deep psychological level was a way of me dealing with my pain from my dad. Making money, becoming famous on YouTube. And this ain't bad, this has all been perfect. So I honestly, guys, and even if you're not spiritual, I felt God's presence through me. I felt nothing but calmness, peace, love. Looked him straight in the eye. Remember, I've never looked my dad in his eyes properly for 32 years. All my confidence coaching, all my training, all my panic attacks, all my inner monologue, I looked him straight in the eye and I said, "Man, I know why you did it." I said, "You did it because you was insecure." And he said, "What do you mean by that?" And I said, "There's no love in violence. You can't have a relationship with your son by making him afraid. There's no love there." And he went on to continue to rationalise it, and he said, "I've done good things." And I said, "You did do good things for me as well. I appreciate it. You took me to football. You gave me encouragement. You provided food. But the way you treated me wasn't right. And I'm going to repeat back, Dad, what you said to me, and the damaging word you said when I was 15. I'll never forget it. This is what you said to me, Dad. When I expressed myself and I started speaking, you said, 'You know what? You sound like a cunt, mate. You sound like a cunt. Keep your mouth shut.'" And I was so calm when I said, "So, Dad, I just wanted to ask you, because I don't want to sound like a cunt. How should I behave correctly so I don't sound like a cunt and I sound like a man?" And he said, I didn't mean it. I didn't want you to be soft and grow up." So I said, "Well, I battered a lot of men in school. I knocked people out. And just in case, because you didn't want me to be soft, sorry my language, guys. I know it's graphic. I just want to share this. I do apologise. And I fucked a lot of attractive women as well. So you knew that I wasn't, just in case you thought I was a softie and I wasn't capable of getting women. I fucked a lot of women and I battered a lot of people. And there was no joy there, Dad." And then I said this word to him and he was shocked. The whole room went quiet. And I was as calm as I am now. I said, "You said you're a man of God. And you talked to me about the Bible and about Jesus Christ and all this stuff, but you didn't follow it." And I'm going to quote a very significant passage from the Bible. And I looked him straight in the eye and I said, very calmly, "The way you treat the least of you is the way you treat yourself. The way you treat the least of you is the way you treat God. The way you treat your son is the way you treat you. And you didn't treat me very well, Dad. And that's why I didn't trust you. And that's why I couldn't be myself around you." He was just shocked. He went quiet. And I said, "I just want to let you know, if you want to have a relationship with me, it's got to be based on love and not fear." And I laughed and said, "I'm not frightened of you no more." I said, "I want you to know this and take me very serious. I'm not afraid of you no more. And I'm not going to fight with you. I forgive you, but I'm not frightened of you no more." And then he said, "No, I didn't want you to." I said, "Well, I'm just telling you." And then he said something else about violence, and sometimes violence is necessary. And I said, I totally disagree with you. I said, there's no violence in my life, it's just pure love. And then I said, all right, I'm going to go now, I'll let you think about it. And he said, oh, don't go. And I said, I've got to go, I've got work. And I promise you, I didn't, no stuttering, not a single bit of violence, because I said I brought God to the room and I healed it, I fixed all my pain. All my pain, all my shame, all that big bully, that demon that said you're not making enough money. My dad created that. But in that moment, I forgave him, because in that moment I thought, if it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't be the person I am now. I wouldn't have the self-love, I wouldn't have the self-respect. I wouldn't have healed thousands of men all around the world. What do you think my teaching is about, guys? Do you think my teaching is about using pickup lines and shagging women? Although if you follow my stuff, you'll have the opportunity to sleep with a lot of women. My teaching is about love. My teaching is about being the most strongest version of yourself, at being a congruent man, being a God-serving man. It doesn't matter if you're from a different faith, if you're Muslim, if you're a Christian, if you're a Buddhist, if you're an atheist. I want to help everyone who's suffered from trauma and pain. So me telling you this, guys, now, it liberates me. It takes away all my shame. It makes me it makes me go to another level, and it also helps you. This video for me is more important than me putting up loads of films. So that's what I did. I healed it, and it made a better relationship. Now we've got a better relationship. Now it's fixed, and I've got to give him credit. I've got to give him. He handled it very well. He wasn't violent. He couldn't be violent anyway, and he admitted it. He apologised. He said he was wrong. He didn't mean it. And I said to him, the person I'm talking to now is not the person 10, 15 years ago that did this, but I have to talk to that person because my inner child is sometimes suffering. And I honestly, guys, when I give my mum a kiss goodbye, cuddled my brother, when I left my house, it felt like it felt like I was with God. I felt so confident, and I don't mean that in an arrogant way. So yes, I was confident, but it felt like every bit of shame and guilt was just it was gone. And I didn't feel any anger towards him. I spoke to Jeff about it, of course. Obviously a massive appreciation for Jeff. I said to Jeff before that I was going to pay him back in a way that I didn't understand how, and he said that's fine. There's no amount of money that could have, fixed his pain. So all the time and money that I invested in Jeff was just amazing. What an amazing man. He's helped me to change my life. So part of this video is a testimony to Jeff Thompson. I advocate anyone that needs help with this definitely to go to Jeff. Obviously you guys can go to me as well. I'm in a great position to be teaching this. So I just want to say it's better that you confront it. I know it's difficult. If a family member has abused you, I mean, I didn't get sexually abused, but you might have been sexually abused by someone, you might have been physically abused. To be honest, it all has the same effect. It all creates fear, anxiety, and it affects your relationship. So the best thing to do is to confront the bully. And as I said, no more. My dad's is a good person. He's not the same person he was, but I had to undo that psychology. And we can't have relationships based on it with anyone based on fear. So it takes a real man to confront a bully and dissolve the bully and forgive. And I've forgiven my dad, and it's really nice when you can do it, when you can let it go, especially when you can understand why the person did the things he did, because he obviously went through his own difficulties. So it says it in the Bible, it says it in the Quran, it says it in all religious scripture. We have to learn to forgive each other, because I've done bad things as well. I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't want to forgive someone else and I expected to be forgiven myself. So it was really nice, and I feel really good about sharing this video. It was difficult to do it, but I know it's going to help so many of you, and it will unlock you to your potential. It will enable you to do great things in your life. It will definitely improve your relationships with yourself, which is what it's about. It will help you to get better with women. It will help you to overcome your sexual fears and stuff like that. So just get it done and find forgiveness and rebuild the relationship, and you can I think this can actually make you have a better relationship with your father or your mother or your brother or your sister. It doesn't really matter who it is. So we have to confront fear. And this is what I've learned, guys, final message. No matter how afraid we are, no matter how ashamed we are, if we face it, we will dissolve it, and we will connect to love. And that's how I feel. And it will be worth it. It will make sense. The only way we can change our old story is to confront it and build a new one, and that's what I've done. I've created a new story, and I don't regret any of it. I really mean it. I'm glad. It sounds crazy to say it, but I'm glad that my dad did that to me, because I wouldn't be the man I am. So even Jeff said it. He was my best teacher. He was better than any spiritual guru, because he taught me about fear, violence and love. And a bad teacher can become a good one. So that's it. The new chapter is born for Johnny Berba, and also for you guys, and I really appreciate the support and the love. So I'm going to continue putting this stuff out. And it wasn't comfortable doing this video, but I feel relieved, I feel good, and I know it's going to serve you guys, which makes me feel good. All right, like and subscribe. It sounds weird, and enjoy the process. Thank you guys, appreciate it. Bye.